continuity and disaster recovery teams. They are going to walk through their processes with us to share a deeper understanding of how their processes fold into the IT EPMO processes. So with that being said, I will turn it over to that team for a brief introduction, and we'll go ahead and get started.
Okay, this is Karen Johnson. Good afternoon. I am Karen Johnson, Corporate Securities Business Continuity Program Manager, and with me is Jeanette Carlo, Corporate Securities Resiliency Analyst. I'll start this afternoon's training by presenting a high-level overview of business continuity planning, and then provide you with the details of how we are integrating business continuity into the IT EPMO process. Then I'll pass the presentation to the IT DR team, that's Sutica Shetty and Roy Spence, for their presentation on disaster recovery integration into the IT EPMO process. We do ask that you could please hold your questions until the end of both presentations, or to the end of the disaster recovery presentation, because it follows after mine. And also, we just want to remind folks that this presentation only applies to the New Jersey process. Long Island has a different process. So this presentation is just for New Jersey. Okay, can you move to the first slide? This slide explains what business continuity and disaster recovery is. And without reading the entire slide, I would like to draw your attention to the BIM diagram at the bottom right corner of the slide. Corporate Security owns the Business Interruption Management Program, better known as the BIM program. There are 5 program areas of BIM: crisis management, business continuity planning, emergency response, life safety evacuation, and disaster recovery. The row underneath each program area describes the groups who assist in managing that program area with BIM. So the crisis management program area is managed with the company's executive crisis management team, the ECMT, that's what they're better known as. And the ECMT is comprised of the company's senior leadership. Business continuity planning is managed with the business units of the company. Disaster recovery is managed with the IT department and the business units. Emergency response is managed with the business units of the company. And lastly, life safety evacuation is managed by corporate health and safety. Each program area has its own corporate governance that provides guidance and direction needed to fulfill the requirements of BIM. You can move on, please. So business continuity planning should be part of everyday business operations, which is why business continuity coordinators are the leaders to exercise their business unit associates and testing supporting systems throughout the year to ensure the business unit is prepared and knows what to do in the event there's an unplanned interruption of normal everyday business. In business continuity planning, we exercise people and test systems to ensure they will perform properly when needed. Disaster recovery is the framework for restoration of technology-related systems supporting the business units. Both the business continuity and disaster recovery planning use recovery time objective criticality ratings, better known as the RTO, to determine when an application needs to resume in order to prevent a significant impact to PSEG's business. That is, to safety to our employees and to our customers, revenue, customer satisfaction, corporate reputation, and legal or regulatory requirements. An RTO represents the maximum acceptable amount of time that is a measurement of downtime for restoring a business process or an application and regaining access to data after an unplanned interruption. This rating is defined in hours based on the predetermined criticality of each business process or application to the company. We categorize criticality in hours as class 1 with an RTO of within 8 hours, class 2 with an RTO anywhere between 9 and 72 hours, and then class 3 with an RTO of greater than 72 hours or best effort recovery. Just to give you an example of the difference between business continuity and DR, I'll use a scenario such as the business in question is a delivery service with one delivery truck that delivers goods around the city. Business continuity planning is concerned with keeping the delivery service running in case something happens to the truck. presumably with a backup truck, substitute drivers, or maps to get around traffic jams, and then other contingencies that could keep the delivery service function running. Disaster recovery planning, on the other hand, is concerned with fixing the original delivery truck. This might involve making quick repairs or even buying or leasing additional trucks. So these are the differences between the two. Business continuity ensures the delivery service, and disaster recovery ensures that there's a backup plan for the truck, just to give you an example. Slide 3, please. Business continuity methodology. The business continuity program follows a 4-step process. First, starting with the business impact analysis, better known as the BIA, then completing a business continuity plan, and then planning the exercise and testing for the year. The business continuity governance document, that is BCP 1062-3, describes the purpose, the scope, and the roles and responsibilities for the participants of the program. And this document can be found in guidance link from the PSEG homepage. Next slide, please. So what I'll do is I'll take you through our process, the business continuity process, to integrate into the EPMO process. The first is at gate 2, to develop a business case stage. Complete the business continuity business case challenge questionnaire. Click the link in the team review section of the questionnaire and report your results to the questions in the place provided on the form, and then email the form back to the business interruption management email box, which is monitored by myself and Jeanette Carlo. The results of the business continuity questionnaire will indicate whether business continuity is needed and are to be included in the business case challenge. At gate 2, if the business case challenge for the application or the project is approved, then we move to the next stage for business continuity planning. At stage gate 3, the project initiation, the project manager advises the business continuity program office the application or the project was approved, and then work with the business continuity office to complete a business impact analysis for the business unit the application or the project supports, or create a new BIA. The business unit business continuity coordinator will determine whether or not the application or the project supports an existing business process, or whether a new business process is being initiated, and will complete a business impact analysis for the business process the application of the project supports. It's been my past experience since we've been doing these meetings that some of the projects and applications already support existing business processes within a business unit. So we don't have to recreate a new BIA. We just add that information or update that information on the existing BIA. At gate 3, BIA documentation should be complete. You can move to the next slide. And then at the stage gate 4, develop initial design stage, we'll add the application of the project to the existing business continuity documentation it supports, or create a new business continuity documentation. The business continuity program manager, myself, works with the business continuity coordinator in the business unit to add the application or the project to the existing business process it supports, or create a new business process. At gate 4, all business continuity documentation should be complete and ready for approval. And then in the design phase stage, that's 5, the business unit plan owner reviews and approves the added or new application or project information to the business continuity documentation. The application of the product and the details of the updates will be reviewed annually by the business continuity program manager and the business continuity coordinator and the plan owner for approval. And that approval is done electronically with an electronic approval signature. All business continuity documentation should be reviewed and approved at gate 5. Okay, I think this brings us to the disaster recovery folks, so I'll pass it over to Satitra and Royce.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Royce Spence. I'm part of the ITDR governance team. And we're just going to review some disaster recovery definitions. Some of these you heard previously, and some will be a little bit new to you. Disaster recovery is an organization's method of regaining access and functionality to its IT infrastructure after events like a natural disaster, cyber attack, or even business disruptions related to the COVID-19 pandemic. This is done by putting together a plan which contains details around recovery of the infrastructure, systems, and applications that make up our environments. A disaster recovery plan is a variety of disaster recovery methods that are put together as part of a comprehensive disaster recovery plan. The purpose of a disaster recovery plan is to comprehensively explain the consistent actions that must be taken before, during, and after a natural or man-made disaster so that the entire team can take those actions. Every situation is unique, and there is no single correct way to develop a disaster recovery plan. However, there are three principal goals of disaster recovery that form the core of most disaster recovery plans. And they are prevention, which includes proper backups, generators, and surge protectors. Again, these are examples. Detection of new potential threats, a natural byproduct of routine inspection. And correction, which might include holding of lessons learned, brainstorming sessions, and securing proper insurance policies. Now, as previously mentioned, we're going to discuss recovery time objective. It is the target time needed to recover your business and IT infrastructure after a disaster. For example, because most folks don't exactly understand what that means, a 2-hour RTO or recovery time objective means that you give responsible personnel 2 hours to bring your services back up again. Data recovery falls within the scope of RTO. Recovery point objective, or RPO, is the maximum amount of time you can afford to lose data without impacting your business significantly. Data loss beyond the RPO may prove harmful to your business. For example, a 2-hour RPO means that you should schedule your backups every hour to ensure the data recovery in case of downtime is within the 2-hour recovery point objective. Defining an RPO helps avoid any data loss in case any of your applications go down. Next slide, please. All right, so now we're going to take a look at the disaster recovery life cycle. The main processes that form the cycle of the complete DR life cycle encompass what we call the 6 R's. This is referred to once again as the disaster recovery life cycle. There are additional elements of a DR plan. It should address these 6 main areas. Our first area being reduce. In the reduce section, you should minimize, avoid, or prevent the threat from occurring by regularly testing. Next, we have response. And again, these are a list of areas that needed to be addressed. Unfortunately, we did not have all the time in the world to do this, so I'm not going to dive very deep, but I'm just going to give you examples. So we have detection. Detect a disaster event when it happens. Notification. Notify the core DR team for initial assessments and verifying whether a disaster has happened. Damage assessment. Assess the degree of damage is done and deciding on activation of the DR plan. Plan activation. Activate the execution of the DR plan. Disaster declaration. Activate specialized DR team to be on site and standby. And team mobilization. Activate all team members to assemble at designated assembly center or alternate sites. Again, that all falls into the respond bullet. Next, we have recover. Execute the recovery procedures and recovering the business operation at a temporary site. Next, we move on to resync. That's pretty obvious. We're resynchronizing our data. Resume is test critical components of each application as per the DR plan. And return is reconstruct the original site or acquire a new permanent site to return to the normal business operation. And continue cycle by performing annual to semi-annual exercises. All right, I'm going to pass it over to my counterpart, Suchitra Shetty, for the stage gate process.
Thank you, Royce. Good afternoon, all. I'm Suchitra Shetty. let us look at the steps to integrate the disaster recovery into stage gate process. So starting with the develop business case stage. In the business case challenge template, one of the teams that needs to review the relevant information is the ITDR governance team, which is myself and Royce. As part of the business case challenge review, we require a ITDR governance business case challenge questionnaire filled out and sent to the DR support inbox. The link for the appropriate form is to be included in the business case challenge, the BCCT template. This begins the process of allowing us, the ITDR governance team, the opportunity to review your initial responses for accuracy and determine whether or not it meets the requirements to include DR planning in the scope of the application or process being reviewed. The outcome of this DR review will be included in the business case challenge, which should be either yes, DR planning is required, or no, DR planning is not required, just at a high level. There obviously might be additional information added there depending on case by case, whatever the project is. Upon reaching gate 2, if the business case is approved and DR review conclusion was to include DR planning in the project scope, then at project initiation stage, the ITDR governance team will work with the project team on next steps. So at project initiation stage, the project manager informs the ITDR governance team that the application or project was approved at the business case challenge review and is ready to move forward. At this time, project manager will also connect with the ITDR governance team with appropriate SMEs in order to begin DR planning. ITDR governance team will work with the SMEs to complete an ITDR plan assessment questionnaire. And then upon reaching gate 3, the ITDR plan assessment questionnaire must be completed. This questionnaire provides input to move to the next stage based on the application or process's criticality rating, RTO, RPO, and/or type of system. In the develop initial design stage, SMEs work with the ITDR governance team to develop baseline DR scope, design, and testing requirements, along with a baseline schedule for DR planning. The ITDR plan template will be used to document these baselines. Upon reaching gate 4, the ITDR plan template should be mostly complete, capturing all relevant aspects of disaster recovery for that application or process. Continuing to design stage, ITDR governance team will work with the SMEs to finalize the DR scope, schedule, design, testing requirements in the ITDR plan template. And upon reaching gate 5, the final ITDR plan should be reviewed and signed off by the application and/or process owners. Post-deployment, SMEs should schedule time to walk through or test the ITDR plan with all the participants listed in the plan. Now, this ITDR plan is a living document for the particular application or process. Going forward, during each test, it will be used to document test results, corrective actions, and any gaps or issues, etc., identified during testing. Any assistance required during the first post-deployment DR test and other subsequent tests, ITDR governance team can be consulted for guidance. So to summarize, all the stages and gates reviewed in the previous slides flow as such for all emerging or new projects, starting with the develop business case stage. For in-flight projects, there are slight variations. In-flight projects are the ones that are ongoing as we speak, and business continuity and disaster recovery teams were not involved in the initial stages of the project. Mainly, there was no BC and DR review conducted at the develop business case challenge stage. Even though BC and DR tasks in each stage will remain the same for in-flight projects, the stage at which BC and DR teams get involved will depend on if one, BC and DR planning is needed for that ongoing project, and no such planning or capability are included in the project scope and requirements. And 2, the project is between gates 2 and 5. Our plan is to meet with the group product managers and project managers to determine the 2 points that I just mentioned. We have already started this process of meeting with GPMs and are coming up with an updated list of projects that need BC and business continuity and disaster recovery planning. We will contact the project managers and subsequently other SMEs to incorporate business continuity and disaster recovery planning for those shortlisted projects. All projects that are past gate 5, that is in direct and managed stage or post-deployment, we will follow up with the GPMs and PMs or SMEs to guide through business continuity and disaster recovery planning after the application or process is live and in production. And that is all we have for this topic for today. And I'll open it up for any questions.
Hey, Suchitra, this is Sarita.
Hi.
Hi, so should we be just waiting for your invitation for the in-flight projects? Nothing to be from our end?
Right, so as I was saying, we were talking to the GPMs of the project to understand, at a high level, some kind of a priority list of projects. We're trying to break it down. So currently we're speaking with GPMs and getting names of, project managers to see who we should follow up with. So yes, we will be reaching out to the, yeah.
Sounds good, thank you.
Question here, this is Syed Hasnan. And for in-flight projects, would that be a requirement if that's on the list that was mentioned, that the deployment date or implementation date that's in the that was approved, would that be impacted if that's a disaster recovery is required? And then what is the process for that? Have you addressed that?
Yes.
Go ahead, Royce. Go ahead.
So yes, depending on the stage that the project is at, as you can see on the slide, if it's between gates 2 and 5, we'll be able to work with the team to implement BC and DR into the project, hopefully not impacting your delivery date, or if so, as little as possible. However, if it is between gates 6 and 7, no, we would follow up post-deployment as to not impact your delivery date as much as possible.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be sharing these slides. I believe Salita will be sending these slides out to everyone. So if there are any questions that come up later on, please feel free to reach out to us. The contact information is in the slides, so we could definitely help you out with any other questions.
Well, great, thank you. I'd like to thank the business continuity and disaster recovery teams for sharing this information and taking the questions. It's valuable information that the project managers need to understand to effectively manage their initiatives. So we thank you for your time and your expertise today. And as Suchitra mentioned, as we typically do, this deck will be uploaded to the PM trainings folder on the IT EPMO SharePoint site. If you don't know where that folder is or you have any questions, please feel free to send us a note at the IT EPMO mailbox and we'll direct you to the appropriate folder. But it is the same folder that all of the PM training decks are posted to. So that is at the IT EPMO SharePoint site in the training folder, in the PM training folder. We'll leave the floor open just for a moment longer. Are there any remaining questions that anyone would like to have addressed right now?
I can also inject one more thing. Should you come up with a question post-meeting, please feel free, as we stated before, it's in the actual deck. Please feel free to reach out to us, either the business continuity folks or the DR folks via email. We have no problem working with any of you to assist you with your goals.
Well, again, thank you to the business continuity and disaster recovery teams for sharing their expertise. And thank you to the PMs that have joined the call. We appreciate your time and attendance as well to continue learning in a continuous learning fashion. So we'll go ahead and close today's session, and we will give everyone about 30 minutes back on their calendars to be respectful of time. So again, thank you and have a great day.
Thank you.